Hello, this is Jan Dingo online here, and today we are making a video due to something that came up with me. I got a comment on my Viking Predator video from Kobe Bryant? Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but anyway, he brought something up to my attention. What is the best DLC Predator in the game? So I'm here to discuss that. In 2023, what is the best Predator DLC for Predator Hunting Grounds? So I'm here to discuss that. I started off originally trying to grind out the game, and you always start off with the Hunter class, and don't get me wrong, it's a good class, but for me I typically prefer slower but tankier gameplay. So I got the Viking Predator DLC. And this Viking Predator, which is really powerful due to one major factor that makes it different than the Berserker from the base game. And that is being the more strength. A lot of people don't know this, but every Predator class in-game has hidden perks. And the Viking's main hidden perk is that he gets a 13% damage boost with melee weapons. And this, you can definitely see the difference between a Hunter and a Viking Predator when it comes to gameplay because of this. But overall DLC-wise, I'm gonna do a bit of a summary here. So as you can see, I don't own every DLC in the game, but I do know a lot about each DLC. Like the Valkyrie is a bit more speed-focused than the Berserker, but acts similar to the Berserker. And if we look at here in my loadout, I have in my first loadout the Viking, because he's just my personal favorite. Weapons, if you want overall a really viable weapon, I recommend the combi stick because of its range and speed. Second best, I'd say Elder Sword because it's a mix of the combi stick and the Viking battle axe. Because Elder Sword has the speed from the combi stick, but isn't as weak as the combi stick, and it kind of takes some strength from the Viking battle axe, so definitely recommend the Elder Sword. Secondary weapon, when you do unlock it, I recommend the handheld plasma caster. I don't use it that often, but it is kind of a nice fallback if you're low on health but don't want to lose the fire team. Perks, with the Hunter you typically have around 9 perk points, but on every loadout of mine, no matter if it's Scout or any class, I always have Impenetrable, because it just overall improves your survivability. And on the Viking, you can probably imagine, he's already a Berserker with more health and strength, and with this ability he's definitely really good. And another thing to note about the Viking is that he has more perk points than most other classes in the game, with the only other classes in game that surpass him in perk points being the Elder Predator, the Alpha Predator, and the Celtic Predator from the Alien vs. Predator DLC. So, overall DLCs, Viking, I love it because of its tankiness. Bionic is really good if you want high energy gameplay. Now you're probably looking at the health stat thinking, oh, this guy's probably tanky, isn't he? Well, that isn't necessarily true. If we go here to my Bionic loadout, man, I love this gold color. But he isn't actually that tanky. He has, in my opinion, around the same health as the Hunter. But he has much better energy in a sense. If you run this perk Modified Reserve, he can have infinite energy with camouflage or thermal vision on both at the same time. But because of his lower health, I try going for something that's more likely to kill the enemy faster, so I have the Viking Battle Axe and the handheld plasma caster. But there is another good thing that the Bionic Predator is great at. Tracking, because of this one specialization he has, or specialization, should I say, removes clicking noises while cloaked. Now, you've probably heard, if you do play this game, that when you're near the fire team as a predator, you start making clicking noises, and if you play fire team, this sounds very loud. So, with this ability on, you can really track the fire team, and if you stay close to the trees or kind of in the bushes, it's going to be hard for them to actually know you're there. So because of that, Bionic is definitely a good choice if you're looking for more long-range gameplay. But a little bit of everything. If you're wanting something that's, I don't know, a bit more balanced, then I recommend here in my alpha loadout the Mr. Black, which is part of the Hunting Party DLC pack number 1. Now, Captured class is identical to the Hunter class in stats, gear, almost everything. But if you just like the look of the Captured class, then I recommend it, yes. But of course it is included in the pack, so you get it either way. I honestly don't play with the Captured Predator because it's the exact same as the Hunter, and in my opinion the Hunter class looks a bit better. Next, in the DLC we have the Falconer. Now if you like long range and speed gameplay, then Falconer is easily your go-to. Because Falconer, as you can see by the health, he can't survive a lot. He's similar to the Alpha Predator or the Scout class. So, not very survivable, but he has high amounts of movement speed, stamina, and gear. Gear is debated to be easily one of the better areas of expertise, should I say, in this game, because with a lot of gear you can have not more weapons, but you can have bear trap, audio decoy, motion detector, whatever you want, really. So, Falconer, versatile, but similar to Bionic long range. And in my opinion, Bionic is slightly better because of the infinite energy trick. Then next, we have my personal favorite, Bionic. Or no, not Bionic, sorry. It was Mr. Black, yes. Mr. Black here, as you can see by the health, he is quite tanky. He isn't as tanky as Viking, but if you want something slightly faster than Viking, then definitely recommend Mr. Black as part of the Hunting Party DLC pack. He has high amounts of stamina and gear, making it so as Mr. Black you can easily charge in, down someone and claim them, and then run out. And maybe heal yourself or just turn to long-range combat. And Emissary DLC, oh boy, where should I go with this? Emissary is an absolute beast because of one specific specialization that he has. Savage, claiming restores health. I can't tell you how many times I've been saved by this with my Emissary class. When you're claiming someone and the fire team is, shooting at you, this is so powerful because you heal the damage they do to you, and of course if they're all shooting at you, you're not going to necessarily gain too much health, but you will at least be able to take less damage in a sense. So Emissary's really good. He doesn't have a lot of energy, but very similar to Viking, he has higher amounts of health. If we look here at the stats, movement speed pretty good, low stamina, and tons of gear. And on to the next DLC, the Alien vs. Predator DLC, which name I am not completely sure of, but I can confirm one sad truth about this DLC. I do not recommend it, as most of these stats are false. Chopper class has movement speed, yes, and that health stat is completely off. In my opinion, his health stat's just barely above the second bar. Because in gameplay, you'll notice this guy can barely survive any damage, but he has the same perk or specialization as Bionic Predator, where he has the ability to remove the clicking noises when he's chasing you or tracking you. So, pretty good at long-range gameplay, I imagine, but not really recommended. Then we have Celtic, which is my personal favorite of the DLCs. the Celtic Predator does have, yes, the most health out of the trio, and he has the quote-unquote highest amount of skill points or perk points, whatever you want to call it, in the game at 14. So you can make him into any type of hunter you want. Easily among the best in the whole game, in my opinion, because of those perk points. If you want to go long range, sure, you can go long range with Celtic. If you want to go melee, yes, you can go like that with Celtic. If you want to, I don't know, kind of track, you can do that with Celtic, because he also has a high amount of energy. So long range gameplay, melee gameplay, most types of gameplay you can customize with Celtic. And in my opinion, the second best of the trio, Scar, he has about the same health as Celtic, but one thing is that he's a bit faster than Celtic. Now, he does have the smallest amount of skill points or perk points, I don't know the name, of the trio, but he has really good speed and okay health. So this guy's really good at tracking, and if you notice one of the fire team members kind of in the back, definitely recommend on playing with Scar if you're planning on picking them off one by one, just like movies. But the next class that I'm going to be discussing, now I do not own the Samurai class, but based on what I've heard and websites that have told me, the Samurai class works similar to a Berserker, but just slightly better at long range and a bit more versatile. Now, finally, an accurate stat check here in the game. You see, the health stat there is actually pretty accurate, as this guy's really tanky, but he has a hidden perk that not many people know of. Most predators, like let's take, I don't know, where is it? I have my loadout somewhere here. The Berserker, here for example, he takes 10% more damage from melee attacks from the fire team. Same with Viking and almost every predator in the game, but just that one, just the one samurai, he has a 10% damage reduction on melee weapons. So if you want a 1v1 fire team members that like using the knife a lot, samurai class is a really good option. Next DLC we're going to be talking about, I've heard a lot of people talk about the Cleopatra DLC, and the Cleopatra is quite similar to Emissary, in my opinion. Emissary has almost the same movement speed and just slightly worse stamina than Cleopatra, but a lot more gear. So Cleopatra, if you kind of want a predator that's kind of trying to be a mix of Berserker and Scout, then I recommend Cleopatra. Pirate and Amazon Predator, this one, Amazon Predator has really good stats, but honestly I don't have much of an opinion on her because no one ever plays this DLC and it's hard to find information on her, so you kind of have to rely from this video on the stats that you see here on screen. Pirate Predator is kind of the same situation. As you can see, they have the exact same stats, so it's kind of hard to find a bit more accurate information. But I can assume that they're quite similar to the Elder Predator class, which you can only unlock by grinding the game, sadly. Next DLC we're going to be talking about Wolf. Oh my god. This one is a bit of a dilemma, because Wolf, if you've seen Alien vs. Predator Requiem, you notice that he carries a lot of gadgets and gear. As you can see here, you're going to be disappointed. So he is quite similar to the Alien vs. Predator trio in that one DLC, which name I do not remember. He's similar, but I think there's one class that most accurately describes him. Okay, this is technically not a DLC, but it's so powerful that it should be a DLC. If we go here to the Elder Predator, this one is so powerful because of one thing. Now you're probably looking at the health stat thinking, okay, not that tanky, and you are somewhat right, but he has a hidden passive that he takes 10% less damage from bullet weapons and does 6% more melee damage. So if you're really trying to rush in, Elder is really good, and he also has the highest amount of energy in game. So long range or either super close range are very viable for the Elder, but if you look at my level in the top right corner, you can see that you have to grind quite a lot for him. You have to get to level 150, which took me over 7 months to do, but definitely a really good option. Now, if you want something similar to the Elder, like if you want a bit more speed, then I recommend the Alpha Predator class. And the Alpha Predator, as you can see, doesn't have as much health as the Elder, but is a bit more melee focused than the Elder. Now, don't get me wrong, the Alpha Predator is not going to survive a lot of damage, but with your speed, you can easily make the fire team waste their ammunition, and then when they're reloading, that's kind of when you charge with the Alpha Predator. Actually, let's look at my Alpha Predator loadout I have here. Now, I do like the gold color I do have here, but Alpha Predator has 13 ability points, so really versatile if you want to go close range melee combat, sure. If you want long range, sure, why not? Really versatile. But easily, if you want to save money on this game and don't necessarily want to get a lot, there is one class that you do unlock quite early on, and that is Senor Berserker. This one, he has Savage, like the Emissary, meaning he gains health from claiming. And, oh god, this is so powerful because he has similar stats to the Viking, but doesn't actually have as much health as the Viking, despite the fact what you see here on the health stat. Stamina is pretty poor and movement speed pretty low, but with that movement speed you will still be able to pretty easily catch up to a fire team that's running a bit in front of you. And of course he has the high amount of gear. So the gear is, in my opinion, I think it's slightly overrated, but the gear is definitely better than movement speed in my opinion, so it's nice to have. And now Scout class. Oof, the Scout. Scout, where do I begin on the Scout? I honestly almost never play Scout because, like I said earlier, I prefer the tankier gameplay, but he has the specialization Discipline, so really good at long range, easily one of the best Predators, if not the best Predator for long range gameplay. But that health, it's the lowest I've seen in the game so far, and barely any gear, so if you kinda just wanna troll the enemy with the plasma caster or any long range weapon, Scout is recommended. Now, I think we've covered already most of... Oh, no, we still have one. Exiled Predator class. This DLC, I don't own it, but I have fought it many times when it released. And it was really popular when this DLC released for a reason. Really broken. Now, the health stat is low, yes, but if you look at every other stat, it doesn't really matter at all. I mean, the amount of gear, the speed, and just a bit lower stamina than the Alpha or Scout Predator. So, easily a great option for a DLC if you like less health but a bit more versatile gameplay. And other DLCs, oh yep, we just have one more, if I'm correct, called the City Hunter DLC, and if you've watched Predator 2, you immediately know what this guy is about. He's all about using high amounts of gear, really good movement speed, decent stamina, and decent health. So he's a bit like the Hunter class, except slight better movement speed and slight more amounts of gear. And a lot of people are debating on saying that the City Hunter is among the best in the game, and I can agree. I have fought the City Hunter, and it is always a bit of a pain to try to fight the City Hunter, but I imagine for the people playing the City Hunter that this is really fun. So definitely a top contender. But I think that wraps up all of the DLCs in this game, so I'm going to give my personal top 3 favorites. My favorite being, of course, because of the tanky nature of it, is going to be the Viking, and I have this awesome saber mask on it, but the Viking is the berserker with less speed and gear, sure, but he has all of those perk points, which is undeniably, in my opinion, one of the best things you can have in the game. If you get the perk, oh, I don't know, Branch Master, you can become insanely fast in the trees. If you get the perk Fearless, he already has the 13% damage bonus. Meanwhile, the Berserker has the 10% damage bonus melee. So, Fearless adds even more to that. And Impenetrable makes him even more of a bullet sponge. So, easily, if you want heavy tank gameplay, being almost immortal sometimes, then definitely recommend Viking. My second favorite, oof. This is a bit of a hard one. I'd say my second favorite would be Elder Predator. Now, despite the fact of the weird looking pants he has, Elder Predator has the perk points of the Alpha, which is 1 perk point more than the Viking, and just the versatility. Elder has decent health, decent melee strength, and really good range strength and energy. In my opinion, one of the most broken classes in the game, but you do have to grind a lot for the class. And, my third favorite in the entire game has to be Emissary. I mean, with Emissary, you're just overall tanky and you gain health similarly to the Berserker. So if you kind of want to skip Berserker and just get straight to the good stuff, recommend Emissary. And yep, that about wraps up my video, so I hope you all enjoyed, and like and subscribe if you like my content, and in the future I plan on making much more videos on Predator Hunting Grounds and other games. So, until next time, this is Jan Dingo.